Hello. Today, we will look at how you can provision a new Oracle Analytics Cloud instance and gain insights with the data that you have. My name is Daniel, and let's get into it. Once you are signed into Oracle Cloud as the Cloud Accounts Administrator, you can find the dashboard of the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure Console. Click on the top left corner and select Analytics and AI. Under Analytics, click Analytics Cloud. Make sure you're sitting in the correct compartment. In this case, I will be using the sandbox compartment that was created earlier. To create an instance, click Create Instance. Give it a name. If you want, you can give it a description. Make sure it's the right compartment. And decide on how many processor that you want to support this cloud instance. So in this case of demo, I will be selecting 1, but for production and actual usage, we will recommend 2 and above to allow scalability function. Choose the license type, and then click Create. That is all you need to create a new analytics instance. It will take about 20 minutes maximum for an analytics instance to be created. Once the Oracle Analytics Cloud instance is ready, you will see that the status will be changed to active and the color of the icon is now green. To access your analytics homepage, what you need to do is to click on Analytics homepage, or you can copy and paste the URL of the instance. The next thing that you want to do after you have created your Oracle Analytics is to manage users and application roles to ensure that the other users of your Oracle Analytics Cloud who has been created in the Identity Cloud services will be given access to this instance. So what you do is to click on the top right corner menu, select Console, Users and Roles, and over here, you will see all the users that is currently sitting in the Identity Cloud. For each of the members that we want to be added into the application, you can select the menu on the right side to manage the application role and put a wildcard in the search. And depending on the role that you want to give to this user, you may select one of the following. BI consumer will be able to view the reports. Content authors will be able to create a new report. Data load author will be in charge of creating new data sets and connections. Data model author will have access to the backend data model if there is one. BI service administrator will be able to access most of the services of the Analytics Cloud. DB consumer can only view the visualization portion of the Analytics instance, and DB content author will only be able to create data visualization portion of the Analytics Cloud. So for the purpose of this guide, I will just make sure that the user is given the permission of the service administrator to see most of the things that is available in this instance, as long as it's given permission to an administrator. This is how you can provide an application role to a user You can do the same thing with a user group as well. Once you are happy with the number of users that you include into this analytics instance, we will close this console and return to the Oracle Analytics homepage. There are many ways for you to connect the Oracle Analytics Cloud to your data sources. Over here, I will showcase 2 ways that you can do this. First is to create a connection to an Oracle database and import a table from the database. The second method is to import a data using an Excel file and then upload the data to a database, which is optional, and use that to create a report. So first, let's create a connection to Oracle database. So in this case, I have created an Oracle Autonomous Data Warehouse. I just need to select it. Make sure you have the downloaded wallet file made available. Give the name of the schema that you want the database to connect to. In my case, I'm connecting to admin schema and select one of the services available to connect to the database. Once you're happy with it, click Save, and the connection would have been created. To see your connection, go to the top left menu, select Data, Connections, and you will see the database created under Oracle Analytics Cloud. So to import a table from this database, just need to click on this connection. And on the left side, you will see all the schemas that are currently sitting in that database. For the purpose of this demo, I will be using a sample table from SH schema called sales. What I need to do is double click or drag and drop into the middle workspace. And the data set would be brought into Oracle Analytics Cloud. Over here, there is a preview of the data, as well as a very high-level summary of the different data types and properties contained in each column. You have the option to bring in additional tables by continuing the same steps. And once you're happy with it, you may click on Save Dataset. Give the dataset a name and click OK. And this dataset will now be ready for you to create and be used in a project. Before I move into creating a new project, let me move back into creating a dataset using an Excel file, or you may use a CSV as well. Going back to the data page or even from the home page, on the top right corner, you may click Create Dataset. And over here, you can see that you have an option to drop a data file here or click to browse. I select my sample data called sample customers Excel file. And here you're given a preview of the data that is contained in the data set in the Excel file. So over here, I'll just give you a name. I think sample customer will work. I will make sure that my ID is not a calculable number, but an attribute. But the rest looks pretty okay. And with that, I will click Add to bring this data set into Analytics instance. Once you brought the data into Oracle Analytics, you have an option to enrich your data set according to the information of each column. For example, if I click on city, machine learning built into Oracle Analytics will be able to know that this is something to do with a location. So if you look at the right side, there are some recommended data enrichment that is recommended based on the information in this column. So they have latitude, longitude, for example, the country of the city, etc. So you do have the option to quickly add them by clicking on one of the recommendations. And straight away, you will see that the enrichment is added into the data set. Let me just add the longitude as well. Once you're happy with the enrichment that you have done to this data set, just click Apply Script on the left side to confirm these changes. Right. Now let's move on to create a new workbook. First, I want to create a workbook using the sales data. So going back to the main page, I just need to click Create again on the top right, Workbook, and select the sales data from the database that I have imported earlier. Click Add to Workbook, and you will see the columns available under Sales. Another machine learning feature that is very powerful in this Oracle Analytics Cloud is the feature called Explain. What it does is it gives you a breakdown and an analysis of this data set that you have selected in this workbook and suggests visualizations that you can import into your workbook. So for example, if I right click on the product ID column and select Explain Product ID, you will see certain visualizations that are automatically created and suggested for you. If you're happy with them, just hover over and click on the checkbox to select the visualization and charts to be added into your workbook. There are other options that you can look into, and some of them, they may apply to this data set and some they may not. But once you're happy with the selection, just click Add Selected in the top right of the window, and you will see that the chart is automatically added to your workbook. Alternatively, you may select the columns on the right side. You may hold Control to select multiple columns. And you can right click on this and say, create best visualization. And according to the types of column that you selected and the data type within the column, Oracle Analytics can automatically deduce and propose the best visualization that this data can be represented. This may not be the best way for people who are dealing with complex data sets, but this can be one of the first steps before you move on to something that's a bit more complicated. So let me walk through some of the general and most used visualization guidelines based on this data set. So you have seen bar chart, very, very common. But what about a line chart? So let me just quickly delete these and select time, which you can see is a date column, a quantity sold, right click and create best visualization. And automatically, Oracle Analytics recognized that this is something to do with a timeline. Hence, it suggested a line chart to represent this trend. We can change the scale of the time by right-clicking on the date column and change it to a different period scale. So in this case, let me pick month. And instantly, you can see that the chart is now less busy. I can change the line type to something a bit curvy. And Another machine learning feature that is built right into the tool are advanced analytics features. What these include are creating trend lines with just one click. So what this does is it analyzes all the data sitting in the dataset and propose a formula of the line that represents the trend of this data. So over here, you can see that this is a growing trend as the quantity sold increase over time. Another powerful feature of Oracle Cloud, Analytics Cloud, is one-click forecast available in trend lines. So with this, you can see that 3 extra months are predicted with the quantity sold being shown to be continuing to increase in the chart. We can actually extend the forecast to make it at the bottom left. You can change it to increase the period of forecast to 6 months. I will adjust the scale of the value to make it visible. And see that based on the historical data, Oracle Analytics Cloud predicted that the sales will increase exponentially in the next 6 months. Another type of charts that are very widely used are scatter plots. Scatter plots are used to represent 2 independent measures, which are calculable numbers, against a certain category. So in this case, let's choose product. So with this, I just right-click, create best visualization. And again, using machine learning, Oracle Analytics Cloud recognized that this is best represented using a scatter plot. You can see that in this chart, there is no correlation between amount sold and quantity sold, because that would normally be represented by a straight line diagonally upwards. But what you can do is, again, using machine learning, right-click, add statistics. You can put clusters to group the scatter plot to identify potential groupings that can represent this data set. This is what you can do with scatter plot. Next, one of the ways that hierarchical data can be represented is a visualization type called tree map. So let me just explain it by doing it. So in this case, let's say we use quantity sold and we have product, but we also want to see the breakdown of the product through its purchase channel or sales channel. This time, I will manually choose my visualization by clicking Pick Visualization and selecting Tree Map. What you can see here is different boxes that represent the product and the different smaller boxes with different colors within the big boxes that represents the breakdown of the quantity sold for each product according to the purchase channel. With this, it is very clear at one glance how each of these products' quantity sold is broken down by where they are sold and which one is contributing the largest to the quantity sold. Next, let me create a new canvas to give us more space. I click on Add Canvas at the bottom to create a new tab. And I want to show you a type of chart called waterfall. Again, I select quantity sold, product ID, right-click on it, and select Pick Visualization. And over here, I will choose the waterfall chart. And what you see here is basically the quantity sold by product 13 how each of the product is contributing to the total quantity sold, and up in total, the quantity sold is 15,191. This may not be the best representation of the data set, but it gives you an idea of how this sold number can affect the contribution or the removal of the total sold. Next, if I want to represent my data with words or text instead of just charts, usually what we need to do is to hire some analysts, look at a graph, and try to decipher the nitty-gritty details of the chart before providing a summary of the graph. But with Oracle Analytics Cloud, these are built in using one-click method. For example, if I choose quantity, time, and the channel ID, and I create best visualization, Oracle Analytics Cloud will see that, again, this is a trend line. So I'm going to give you a line chart. But look at this. This is way too busy for me to decipher and interpret. So instead of looking at it as a chart, what I do is right-click, or not right-click, just click on Change Visualization Type and change it to Language Narrative. Language Narrative uses machine learning and look at the chart that has been created and the data sitting in it and provide a text-based analysis and breakdown of the information that has been selected for this chart. So in this case, the data represented by these three columns range from 1998 January to December 1998. In terms of overall trend, there's a breakdown of which is the highest peak, which is the biggest decline. And if you break it down by another column, which is channel, it will show you which are the top 3 channels that have been contributing to the sales, as well as the fluctuation and the range of the fluctuations. All this with one click. Finally, there is an option for you to bring in additional extension in case the ones that are currently made available does not suit your need. These are available in the Oracle Analytics Library extension. And over here, you will see a huge range of additional graph and visualizations that you may bring in to your Oracle Analytics Cloud instance. What you need to do is to click download, and you will get a zip file. And in your Oracle Analytics home, go back to your home page, console, and the top left menu, and select extensions. Upload your extension by dragging and dropping the zip file that you have downloaded from the Analytics Library extension, or click on it to select the zip file. It is that simple. And after you have uploaded it, you just need to refresh the page for the extension to be shown in your workbook. I hope this has been an interesting journey for you to learn about Oracle Analytics Cloud and to see the different kinds of visualization that you may use to represent your data. Good luck and have fun with data insights.